welcome to the channel, and today we will be talking about the TRN VX Pro. This was sent out to me by Linsole, and I will leave links down below as to where you can wear it if you're so inclined. They are not influencing my thoughts or opinions on this. They only asked that I make this video and on my thoughts and impressions. So let's get right into it. Okay, with the highs, I felt that these were pretty good, but they could get a little bit kind of disjointed to some level. They had on certain tracks, especially if they got really busy, like a really busy track with lots going on, they would sometimes get a little bit of the warbles going and what have you. But outside of that, they were pretty good. I didn't have any issues with it outside of those kind of busier tracks. Usually with electronic music, with a lot of electronic stuff and a lot of stuff thrown at it, or something that wasn't mastered very well, this would also start to get the warbles or like kind of like a graininess to it in the highs. Moving into the mids I thought were also pretty good, but they were a little bit recessed on certain tracks, and they just kind of were there. Like I didn't have any major like qualms or problems with them, but they weren't also very like woohoo, you know. They did their job and they're fine. Moving into the low end, and that's where these kind of had some fun for me anyways. Like I felt like there's a little bit of a boost to the low end, and it was engaging and fun, and it was, you know, it did get a little bit boomy at times and it would kind of bleed, but it wasn't overall like a overall bad experience. It was pretty good. Like these were decent IEMs that had like a funner signature to me, with a more of a V shape to some level. At least that's how I was perceiving it. The tonal balance as well, it was interesting because it did almost at times have almost metallic kind of a signature to it, where it wasn't quite where I would prefer things to be. It was decent, like the tonal balance was decent, but it did have a slight metallic tinge to it, I guess. The imaging and staging, the staging seemed more deep than it did wide, and the imaging was there, but it wasn't like super crisp or like super like precise, but it was good enough to where you could pick things out and you can figure out where things are and everything. It was, you know, it's a decent imaging and staging, but nothing too crazy. I was a little surprised by the depth of it though. The depth seemed kind of unique. So overall, honestly, and it might seem like I'm being a little bit negative on the sound signature, but you have to also remember that these are like essentially $90 or less IEMs. Pretty crazy how good these are for $90. I don't think that they're going to be beating anything that's, you know, exponentially more cost there, but at the same time, for something that's this price point, it's one of those where you could, you know, buy these and use them pretty much on a commute anywhere and not really worry about breaking them or having, you know, a kilobuck IEM in your pocket or something like that. I think that's kind of a cool thing for overall. But going back to the sound signature and sound, I do think these are fun. I do think that they're, especially for the price, for the sound quality and the price point, you know, price performance kind of thing, that they're worth looking at the very least. But at the price point, they do have a nice signature there. There was just times where it would also break from that on certain tracks for me, where it would, you know, not work so well. And same with the mids and the lows. I actually was really enjoying the lows. It was kind of a fun there. And then the mids were just, they're good enough, right? So the build of these is quite nice. The shell is really nice. I didn't mind the way that the tips were made, everything like that. They fit really well ergonomically. They're really nice, and I like the little edges they have on them to kind of fit in your ears a little bit better. And by edges, I mean just the way it was shaped. The overall build was solid. I didn't have any major issues with it. It felt nice. The way that they did the finish on it was nice. They didn't have any major issues on build. I thought, especially for the price, I was really impressed. And then the cable as well. It's not janky overtly, but it has a little tiny bit, but it's a nice looking cable. It's felt nice enough. It has a little bit of a plastic feel to the cable, but not horribly. But overall, like, it was, I was impressed with the build on this, especially for the price point, and the cable especially for the price point. It was really nice. I really liked the look of it and the feel of it. Aesthetically, I actually dug on the color of it as well. There's two colors I think you can get, and you can see the links below which ones you can get. I think it's this darker blue and a lighter colored one. I felt that the aesthetics was nice. I didn't have any complaints there as well. And the cable looks really pretty. It's really well braided, and it has that nice silver look to it. I think this is kind of where it kind of gets interesting, is who is this for? And I think anytime you're dealing with like a price point like this or below, you're looking at budget, you're looking at people that are have a specific budget, I should say, or you're looking at things that you want that are good enough for like commuting, or you don't mind throwing in a bag and kind of getting chunked up, or if it breaks, you're not stressed about it. It's not something that's, you know, $1,000 IEM or plus, or even a couple $100 IEM, but it does its job. It performs at a level that's decent and can get you where you need to be. Or if you're trying to find your signature, preferred audio signature, you know, like cheaper IEMs like this, and there's a lot of them, and you can really find the one that, like, the signature that fits your needs kind of, and then from there start to go, okay, well, what else is similar to this but the next level up, and you can start to go up higher with that. And that's something I found with IEMs that are unique, especially in this category where it's, you know, they're anywhere from $20 to $200. There's a plethora of IEMs in that range. There's so much experimentation you can do in that range where, yeah, could you have just bought something way more expensive instead of like 20 different, you know, cheaper IEMs? Sure, but then you would somewhat lose out on the experience of finding that signature. And I think that's where these kind of, who this could be for, is someone that's kind of searching or new to the audiophile world, or new to, you know, listening to higher end gear and trying to fine tune what they actually want in out of their gear, right? And I think that's someone who this would be for. And I also think it's for people that are looking for something that's good enough that they're not going to stress about taking out into the field if they're out, you know, doing whatever, or going to a coffee shop, going hiking, going traveling, or commuting on a train, bus, or what have you. These, I think, would be pretty fantastic for that as well, or just, you know, walking around the city or a park or trail. These would be good for that, where you're not stressed about losing them, breaking them. So basically you don't have to worry about these being broken, like I said, and or stolen or more forgotten or left behind or something like that. Another thing with these is I use them on a couple of different chains, and I wanted to kind of talk on that a little bit. I had the Apple dongle. I had this other little kind of Apple dongle by I think it was just like a cheap Amazon buy that I was just testing it out. It's the Moshi. I'm not sure. I'd have to find it on Amazon again, and I can link it below if I find it. I used my Canon N6II Mark II, and I also used them straight off of my TT2. The fun thing about the different synergies there was I actually didn't like it off the Apple dongle, of all things. It got too bright and harsh, and the low end kind of suffered a little bit, whereas the little Moshi one, that one actually, it kind of boosted the lows a little bit, and the mids got a little richer, and the highs got a little bit more tame and kind of had a nicer roll off where it didn't get as gnarly. I did still have some problems across the board with busy tracks. Comes to mind is Naked and Famous. Some of their tracks, it just gets really busy, and it would just get this grainy, like kind of like crunchy almost in the highs and the mids and stuff. So something to be aware of is it does have those problems even across the different chains. But yeah, this can run off of basically any of your DACs, like little dongle DACs off your phone, and it works great for that. So I think that's another thing where you don't really need a lot to get this to be at its optimal performance. So those are kind of like my final thoughts on these IEMs. They're just kind of a decent IEM that you're not going to stress about, that can perform and do its job, especially off of some dongle DACs off your phone, or something along those lines. Or if your phone already has a audio jack in it, it can just run right off that as well. You can scale it to like DAP or, you know, off a desktop setup, but I think that to me personally, I would use these mostly as a like commuter, or kind of walking around where I'm not stressed about, you know, breaking, losing, or leaving them behind or what have you. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this TRN VX Pro. And so another thing is, the Linsol actually was generous enough to say that I can give this pair away as well. Leave a comment down below. We'll pick a random winner, and I'll announce it either in the community, or maybe I'll do a quick little live stream on it. I'm not sure yet. I might just do an announcement saying who won. If you would like to win this set of IEMs from Linsol, go ahead and leave a comment, and I will pick a random winner in like a week or so. So just give people time to comment. I'll announce it at a later date. So good luck to all those that comment, and I will catch you all on the next one. Cheers. the aesthetics. Sorry, let's go back to build. Stay on build.